Good evening again. Happy Thursday. This is Thursdays with Horus on 5 Up Recovery. I'm your host, Carter Reynolds, and here to have a good time. Hopefully, you've got yourself a beverage. I've got my coffee. Pick up a bottle, get some glue out, or maybe a brush, or just kick back, relax. Thursdays with Horus. Just to kind of reiterate, the whole point of this show is that I started an Alpha Legion army, and they have an ability in Horus Heresy where they can take a unit from any other legion, any of the specialties. So I decided I'm going to go through legion by legion and discuss a little bit of lore, a good book recommendation for them or two, and then kind of go into like an organic look at narrative list building. I'm not going to break it down 100%. I'm just going to kind of talk about it in kind of vibes, but I will type up the list and put it in the description, or in the comments rather, of these videos for you. So you can see, I'm going to write a list for every single legion. It's really fun actually, because I learned a lot. For the Alpha Legion this week, what's on your hobby desk? I've got a Land Raider Explorer I just finished up. It's got that nice shiny vibe. I got a drop pod, and a bunch of Melta gun specialists coming, support squads coming out of there. So that's what I'm working on this week. I'll probably be long done with my Alpha Legion army before I finish these segments, but that's okay. We're gonna have a good time, and I'm learning a lot, and maybe I'll discover the next army along the way. So today we are doing the 12th Legion, the World Eaters. One of my least known, I'm not very familiar with them, so this is kind of a good jumping off point, going from someone I'm building and working on to someone I have no idea about. Big shout out goes to my friend Rob Rosales, who is he is the Black Library. He is a fountain of every single Horus Heresy book that's ever been written, including the short stories. He owns them all. He read all this before he even started playing. We just got him into the game maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. But he already knew more about Horus Heresy and 40k than any of us did. So he is my guru when it comes to lore, and I talked to him today a little bit. So opening up with the World Eaters, the 12th Legion, the Primarch is Angron. They're known as the brutal up-close fighters. If you were kind of to talk about what makes the World Eaters special, besides just brutal melee, because we also have space wolves that are known for that. I would say that the big specialty is the Butcher's Nails. They are a cybernetic implant that runs under the skull along their brain that hijacks their pain and pleasure receptors, and only will show them pleasure if they are fighting and killing. Angron was a gladiator slave, and it was first implemented on him by, where the Primarchs were all scattered and whatnot, where he landed as a child. He was raised as a gladiator in the slave pits. And this is kind of a cool detail I didn't know. My buddy told me that they talked about red twists and black twists. And if you won your battle, then you would go through and you would pack all of your, you leave all the red raw markings of your wounds. But if you were defeated, then you would pack them with the black dust. So a red twist was like a red square showed victory. Black twist was a defeat, so they wore their victories and their defeats. I thought that was interesting. A little prehistory. Angron, of course, one traitor, one of the first demon Primarchs. He ascends to godhood, heraldhood, or whatever you want to call it, demon princehood, and he is a big player in the Siege of Terra. He is all over the place in the siege. The World Eaters are also all over the place. If you were looking for good books, that's my, what I'm leading into here is if you're looking for good books about the World Eaters, Betrayer. Betrayer not only goes into their backstory, but has a little bit of word bearers in it as well. But it talks about their first captain, Karn, and his kind of a best friend relationship with Argel Tall, which is pretty cool. He's a big fan favorite from the World Eater or Word Bearers. I used to always get World Eaters and Word Bearers confused. It's a lot of the same letters in both of them, and then the book has both of them in there as well. So it's it's a tongue twister. But Betrayer is up next on my to read list. I've not actually read it, but it is all about the World Eaters, Angron's backstory, Angron's kind of big fall of his, and kind of a big tragedy of his. And if you're looking for other books with the World Eaters, then I highly, highly, highly recommend Siege of Terra. I think everyone should, if you're getting into Horus Heresy, you should read the Siege of Terra. They're the, like, you know, Horus Heresy books can be hit or miss. Siege of Terra books are all hits. There's not a single miss in there. Angron, yeah, kind of going back to Angron's origin, what I didn't know about him also is that he is an empath. Like, his special power was able to understand and soothe the pain of others. Like, he could take their pain into them and make people feel better. Like, apparently this is something he did back in the slave pits and stuff like that early on. And then the butcher's nails were done to him. So it was like, took this guy that was supposed to be like the softest, hardest, best of all of them, you know, most relatable and emotional guy, and instead just ravaged him and turned him into this wild beast. So, you know, big tragedy, big long fall for Angron, I think. And then he staged an uprising on his home world with all the slaves, and they were fighting through, and they were winning against these their, you know, enslavers who had crazy technology from the dark age of technology. And they were fighting with low tech, you know, Greek gladiatorial weapons, and they were winning. And then the Emperor shows up, and he teleports Angron onto his bridge right as they're about to seize victory. So he steals the victory out of his hands and whatnot, and that sets the tone. You know, kind of the first seeds of treachery were set by the Emperor. Go figure. You know, you didn't hear it here, folks. But so World Eaters, big. They are, you know, 100% just melee stomp army, chain axes galore. But I think they also, they were pretty big on armor as well. There's a lot of it in Siege of Terra. Actually, it's cool in Siege of Terra. You're seeing these things like break down because nobody's been maintaining them for weeks on end as the siege is going on, and they're losing themselves to the nails more and more and more. And that was the other thing. Angron implemented the nails in all of his legion. When he was joined with the legions, he was just like, if I had to suffer, so do they. It makes you a better warrior, this, that, the other. Yeah, so that's kind of that's the World Eaters in a little nutshell right there. When it came to list building, they actually have 2 complete rites of war. So it's two very, very different ways of running. The traditional kind of Legion Astartes, you know, pre-Siege of Terra, you know, like completely falling to the nails. They get a bonus attack on the charge, which is crazy powerful in this edition when there's no extra attacks anywhere, except for maybe dual lightning claws. But everyone used to get that attack charge, and now only World Eaters do it. So that's just you know, in 3rd edition, I'm finding not that many benefits to charging. I think the biggest one is that you can get rid of volley fire if you need to by setting up right into somebody. But like, you know, unless you've got an impact weapon, there's not really a bonus to charging anymore. So the World Eaters getting that one is miraculous. It's gonna be really powerful. Their reaction was they can get shot, and then they can turn on Eternal Warrior, so they subtract 1 from all damage, and then they immediately get to charge afterwards. So you can actually charge somebody in their shooting phase, which is pretty cool if you're close enough and can get that off. And their Gambit lets excess wounds get spilled over in a challenge. So if they kill their challenger, you know, usually all those wounds are lost and everything like that, and you get your combat resolution out of how many wounds the guy lost. But in this case, you would, you know, cleave through and continue finishing your attacks into the rest of the unit. So you could, you know, fight out of the challenge actually, and into, if you're successful, and into your unit. I'm not gonna lie, that is the Legion I built my list on because it seemed the easiest to wrap my head around. The other one has this ability, instead of the +1 attack on the charge, whenever you take I want to say status effect, it might just be a panic leadership test, but when you take one of these, you know, when you fail one and would get a status effect, then you can instead lose yourself to the nails and get all these crazy bonuses, like, but at the penalty of having to charge. If you're within 12 inches, you have to charge something, and if you are not in 12 inches of something, you lose it. So it's literally like you're turning it on, just completely go raging into the enemy. But of the two, I want to keep it simple. I'm big on, when I write my lists, I'm big on KISS, keep it simple, stupid, because I double up units a lot, so I've got less things to remember. I kind of have a, I kind of, it's like, I'm not going to throw flyers in all over the place because, or that's a bad example, but like, I'm not going to take like super obscure units or things that have as many advanced directives. I know I'm saying this and I'm playing Alpha Legion, which is ironic. Alpha Legion actually is a reason to push myself out of my comfort zones. But for the World Eaters, I went brass to the floor. Like we're looking at everything on the list is melee except for the vehicles. That's the way I would want to play World Eaters. You know what I mean? Is it good? I don't know. Is it smart? I don't know. Is it awesome? Yes, 100%. So I started out in the troops. Oh, and then yeah, the cool prime slot. This is like the best part. The other thing we'll do in these videos is we'll make a character out of the list of HQs and whatnot and prime slots, because it's so fun. You get so much character out of your army when you get to kind of make that special one that's just you and name them and everything like that. So the special prime thing that they get is called Chain Brothers, and you take a hero and then you pick another command slot, and that is the Chain Brother to your first one. And whenever they are next to each other, they get a +1 to hit in melee. I thought that was awesome. So, this is going to be when I go to the end and I do the characters. I actually picked made 2 because they've got to be Chain Brothers and stuff. And I think that's really cool. I was talking about Card and Argyle being like best bros earlier, and that's kind of like they were Chain Brothers. They fought in the gladiatorial pits and trained like Angron had. And I just thought I think it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, you've already got a character unit is already going to be more powerful, but having 2 characters in there, pretty cool. So I'll do my characters last because I want to talk about where I drop them into the army, and then I'll go into how fun it was to make them and everything like that. But I started out with troops. I did 2 squads of despoilers, kitted up with chain axes and power axes. Anytime I could take an axe, I went axe. Like it was just no questions. Unless it was like a power fist or a thunder hammer. But honestly, I think I went axes over thunder hammers even. Chain fists also. Any chain fists in there. Chain weapons in general, I think, really fit the World Eaters. But for the despoilers, I went with power axes. I made a big blob, a 20 block of assault marines, because those Mark IIs the Mark II assault marines that just came out look so crucial. They got the big brutal chain axes and just a huge squad of them. Fantastic. Actually, one of my characters I will say now is a Centurion with jetpack, so he can join that unit. So that's troops covered in the primary detachment. I went with, I did both the special units of the World Eaters. They have red butchers, and they have rampagers. Red butchers are their elite terminators. They're in cataphracti with weapon skill 5. They have crazy axes that are all breaching 4-up, like just bananas powerful, and their leader could take it was like a brutal chain fist or something like that, which is like a 3 damage, just like out of control chain fist that does not subtract from your attacks like every other chain fist did. So I thought that was pretty cool. But the super elite, kind of Terminators there, and I also took a big block. So I took a 10 block of them and I put them in a Spartan because and then my Praetors in Terminator armor, so he goes with the Red Butchers and the Spartan. And then I took their other special unit, Rampagers. Rampagers are once again weapon skill 5. I believe they got 3 attacks. Really good little melee guys, and they have Vanguard 3, which if a little notation back to my Alpha Legion, when you steal a unit, Alpha Legion does not have any special Vanguard units. Their Terminators get line. So anything with Vanguard is almost, it's like top of the cream of the crop of something I would like to steal for my Alpha Legion. So these Rampagers do have it. Rampagers have like 4 special weapons they can pick from, and every single one was a good call. I think I ended up going with the Excoriator Axe, because I liked the breaching that it had. But you know, it's like there's like meteor hammers and go ham. You know, lots of really cool stuff in there. So Rampagers actually also not a ton of melee threats in the Alpha Legion. Rampagers would be a very good pick for you know, stealing my list. But back to the World Eaters list. So we've got 2 squads of 10 despoilers. They're going in rhinos. I've got a 20 pack of assault marines. We've got 10 red butchers with a praetor going into a Spartan. Then I took 10 rampagers and I put them into a traditional land raider carrier. So 2 land raiders in the list, like 2 land raiders, 2 rhinos. So lots of transports on there because we want to get our trucker boys up as fast as we possibly can, get them charging as fast as possible. And you can still charge out of a rhino. It's just a disordered charge. But transport's very powerful, especially for an army like World Eaters. Also, if you're fighting World Eaters, have ways to pop transports. I have not done that with a couple of my lists, and it's come to bite me pretty bad. So we got the Rampagers and the Land Raider. We've got the Red Butchers and the Spartan. We've got the Despoilers and the Rhinos. I took a armored support detachment of 2 Vindicators, with the Demolisher cannons. Yeah, the little stubby guys with the Demolisher cannons. Because they're brutal. You know, those Demolisher cannons are 3 damage, ordnance, ordnance damage, so they go up to 6 when they stay still. I thought they were just kind of like bull-nosed and just felt World Eaters. Felt like that, like savagery would work with them as well. So I tossed those in there. And then for my Chain Brothers, my special characters, I took a Champion and a Chaplain. And the idea, I mean, both of them are melee threats. The Chaplain, he lost a lot of the cool stuff from 2nd edition, but his Croesus Arcanum still does like 2 damage. So it's pretty, it's kind of like a little surprise treat in your army, or like into your unit. And then the Champion has like a Paragon Blade, weapon skill 6. He's like a Praetor level fighter. So I figured the 2 of them could be doing the, Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, grabbing each other's arms and fighting next to each other. And then the Chaplain also gives cool 10 to the unit, which is crazy high. And so that unit's just going to be ignoring these status effects. We don't have the loss to the nails thing like the Hereticus World Eaters would have. So I think that it is, lost my train of thought there. But, oh yeah, we need a status effect defense. So having a Chaplain next to a Champion, like they're not going to get status effect. They're going to be able to, keep going, keep knocking. And I put them with the Rampagers in the Land Raider. So it's 2 kind of Doomstar units. You got a big block of Assault Marines flying around, taking, vanguarding themselves. And then you've got some Despoilers that can just go dump onto an objective, or they can dump onto an objective and fight guys, And that's the list. It's pretty elite, pretty, but you got like 40 power armored bodies on the field as well. Nice big Doomstar of Terminators. You actually have a lot of shooting, pretty decent high damage shoot. You don't have a lot of DACA for small stuff, but that's what the melee's for. But you've got 2 Land Raiders coated in las cannons, and you've got 2 Demolisher cannons in the list. So there's still there's big shooting threat, and then you can also be popping your friends' transports. So then when all the guys spill out, you can go get in the melee with them. That's kind of the idea. Not a lot of nuance. It is a simple list of just you charge forward, take objectives, but more likely what you want to be doing is killing off of objectives. Yeah, that's the World Eaters. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm sorry it's not the longest show today, but I actually I had to learn a lot before I could do the show because I knew the least about them. But that's what this is all about. Going through each legion and learning with each other along the way. So this has been 5 Up Recovery. Thursdays with Horus is the show. 5 Up Recovery is the channel. I'm Carter, your host. Please hit that like and subscribe if you get a chance. And if you really want to support the channel, my book Candlelighter is for sale on Amazon, or you can get signed copies right from me. Instagram is Carter Reynolds Writerman, one word, your friendly neighborhood writer man. But yeah, if you enjoy hard-boiled fantasy or than very grimdark, you should check out my books. I got 2 short stories as well, Mutton and Rough Landing. So, just you gotta push the books a little bit. But next week, let's see what we got. I got my 20-sided die. So we've already done the 20th, the 12th, and there is no 2nd and 11th. So let's see what we got. All right, I got a 17. 17, I want to say that is the Word Bearers. 18th is definitely the Salamanders. 19th is definitely... Oh, the 17th actually is the Sons of Horus, aren't they? Well, that'll be a fun one. My friend actually plays Sons of Horus, so I'll have a lot of... once again, I'll get a lot of support from my buddies coming in on this. But thanks for tuning in. Like I said, shorter show. Sorry about that. We'll keep it beefed up in the next few episodes. All right, take care. Excelsior.